Hello, dear viewer. My name is Grifter the Noob, as if you didn't already know that. Today begins a new chapter in my epic saga. For the first time in history, Grifter the Noob will become GrifThor the Viking. Yes, you heard that right. Odin himself has called upon me to do the impossible. I've been tasked with conquering the land of Valheim, defeating his most fearsome enemies, with nothing but my bare hands and my superior intellect. Of course, it won't be easy, but then again, nothing worth doing ever is. I've already exorcised powerful demons, defeated legends in the arena, constructed mighty empires. It's safe to say I'm uniquely qualified for this mission. But enough about my astonishing track record. I'm a Viking guy now. It's time to do Viking stuff. I was cast in the very heart of the 10th realm, Valheim. This giant bird carried me there, through a storm. Very uncomfortable. Its talons dug into my shoulders. I'm fairly certain it did that on purpose. Apparently, Odin was too cheap to charter me a private jet. Or perhaps Viking jets simply aren't capable of interdimensional travel. Either way, I looked magnificent. The bird dropped me into a giant stone platform from 50 feet in the air, without warning. It just sped off as if it had more important places to be. Dick move. I would remember this. I could have been badly injured from the fall, but my superior bone density and perfect muscle control allowed me to land gracefully, like a cat. A very muscular Viking cat. My first instinct was to leave a bad review on Yelp. This was 2-star service, if I'd ever seen it. Possibly even 1.5. Then I remembered the Vikings don't have Yelp, or cell phones, or the internet. No matter. Odin must have sensed my irritation. He sent me a servant as an apology. While I appreciated the gesture, I immediately noticed something troubling. The servant's name. It was Donki. That was far too close to my name. Suspiciously close. Was this some kind of test? A deliberate provocation? I informed the strange man that I'd be taking Thor and he'd have to pick something else. He seemed more like a Loki, anyway. Something about his mustache. Obviously a trickster. He decided to be difficult and insisted on keeping his name. Luckily for him, I'm a reasonable leader. I decided a compromise was in order. He could have the first half of his stupid name idea and the second half of mine. Let's see. Donki plus Loki equals... You'll be Donki from now on. I explained slowly in case it was simple. Donki. Donki. Problem solved. He seemed thrilled. At least, I think he was. I didn't really care, to be honest. The decision was made. No use dwelling in the past. I had more important things to focus on. After Donki had finished prattling on about his new name, he immediately started cutting down trees, placing wooden foundations and walls. Right there, 10 feet from where we landed. I had to stop myself from laughing at his naivety. His lack of strategy was embarrassing. Poor Donki. Perhaps he was simple. This was a terrible location to set up a base. It was far too obvious. Any idiot would pick this spot, which is exactly why we wouldn't. But I didn't want to crush his spirit on day one. He was trying his best. He seemed certain that we needed shelter immediately. He kept going on about a starter base and gathering resources. Rookie mistake. Before we started building, we obviously had to find the perfect base location. We need to scout properly first, I explained as slowly as possible. The perfect base required elevated terrain, strategic positioning, and most importantly, good energy. He seemed unconvinced. He simply couldn't wrap his head around my sophisticated plan, no matter how slowly I explained it. I couldn't say I was surprised. Fortunately, what Donki wanted was of little importance to me. This is exactly why Odin made me the leader. We left Donki's crappy base behind and began exploring the immediate area. We scouted for miles, but every possible location fell short. The terrain simply wasn't perfect base material. Donki once again insisted on creating a temporary shelter to get us through the night. Nonsense. We wouldn't rest until our perfect base location was found. I explained to Donki that we'd scout the entire world if necessary. We built a raft and set sail. The open seas, the heart of any good Viking adventure. I acted as our navigator as he rowed. Our journey took us to many interesting locations. I strategically diagnosed each of them as Donki scouted ahead. We found dense forests. Donki went ashore to gather wood for a crafting bench. Some kind of large creature appeared. Donki didn't last 30 seconds. Clearly, this biome had defensive issues. We found dark and mysterious swamps. I'd heard that these lands were rich with iron. Donki insisted that we couldn't access it without some kind of key. I didn't believe him. I refused to budge until he got off the raft and proved it. An arrow came from nowhere. Nobody could have predicted it. We found vast and expansive plains. I spotted a group of large puppies on the shore. Adorable. We approached to get a better look. Donki's negative aura startled them. We were no longer welcome here, thanks to him. Plus, I noticed that there were giant mosquitoes everywhere. Unacceptable. A storm rolled in while we were at sea. Donki insisted that we needed to find shore. Something about sea monsters. Nonsense. I wasn't about to let his superstitions delay our mission. A large serpent appeared, blindsided us. The beast destroyed our raft. Clearly, the open ocean wasn't suitable for settlement. My name is GrifThor, not Grif Poseidon, after all. We found lands of mist. Donki tried to communicate with the locals. He insisted that they were friendly. I decided to test this hypothesis. He was very wrong. They were loose cannons. The slightest annoyance set them off. Plus, I couldn't see 3 feet ahead. Terrible visibility. The whole biome felt like a cockroach infestation waiting to happen. We found lands of fire and ash. We attempted to navigate through what appeared to be water. It was not water. This place was too warm, anyway. Inhospitable. Sweaty. I require an average temperature between 68 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit to function efficiently. We found lands of snow and ice. We both survived this one, mostly because there was nothing there to kill us. Just ice. Frozen wasteland. Barren of life and resources. Completely impractical. We'd sailed the entire world, objected every location. I was beginning to think that Odin had set me up to fail. Were there truly no suitable base locations in all of Valheim? Donki's constant negativity just made matters worse. But I wouldn't let him break me. That's what he wanted. That's what Loki would want. I decided our best bet was to scout further inland. That's when something else caught my attention. As we scouted along the edge of the mountain, I saw something that took my breath away. A majestic pack of wolves. The most beautiful creatures I'd ever laid eyes on, taking down prey with perfect coordination. I watched with bated breath, mesmerized. They flanked, pursued, executed, their movement as graceful as a ballerina on ice. These creatures were truly the pinnacle of Odin's creation. I stood there in a state of awe for several moments, unable to look away. These wolves were everything I'd been searching for without even realizing it. Then the practical implications hit me. That wolf had just accomplished in 5 seconds what would take Donki all day. Possibly multiple days, given his limited mental faculties. If I had one of those magnificent creatures as a companion, it would change my life. Solve all of my problems. I would have someone to lean on. Someone who agreed with me, even in the face of Donki's overwhelming negativity. It could hunt for us, protect us, act as the missing piece in our duo. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Every great adventuring group had 3 members. Aragorn had Legolas and Gimli. Kirk had Spock and McCoy. All I had was Donki. This was the missing piece I'd been looking for. The base search could wait. Odin had blessed me with a golden opportunity. Now I just seize it. I explained my plan to Donki. Slowly, I knew he wouldn't grasp it at first. Our new objective was to tame one of these glorious hounds. As expected, Donki decided to immediately crap all over my dreams with practical objections. For some reason, he seemed to think that this was a stupid idea. He insisted that wolves required better equipment and mid-game progression, which we would have already had if I just let him build a base where he wanted. I had no time for his cowardice. Fortune favors the bold, and so do wolves. We were wolf guys now. He would help me tame one or get punched. His choice. My initial approach was simple, an offering of meat, currency in the wolf world. I would approach the wolf directly and attempt to befriend it. Wolves are excellent judges of character. It would sense my good intentions and realize that we were natural companions. My plan didn't work. Donki mocked me, but I was undeterred, unwavering in my goal. This wolf would become my best friend, no matter how long it took. It was my fault. I'd been arrogant, too hasty. I had to earn its trust first. It became clear that a more sophisticated approach was required. Wolves are highly intelligent creatures, after all. I would have to use some manipulative tactics, use its weaknesses against it. The wolf would forgive me once we were friends. After many minutes of intense thinking, I had the perfect strategy. Humans are natural long-distance runners, especially Donki. Despite his negative behavior, I couldn't deny his physique. This was our advantage. Besides, I had tried the first attempt. It was his turn. I had a brilliant plan. I called it Operation Wolf Trap Omega. I would design a trap. We'd build an elaborate tower to exhaust the wolf. Its lack of sweat glands would force it to overheat far before Donki. Once it reached the second floor, it would find a platter of meat and eat gluttonously. Not only would it be exhausted from the run, its metabolism would siphon its remaining energy, making it sleepy. It would climb the final staircase where it would find a comfortable bed. It wouldn't be able to resist taking a nap. This would give Donki a perfect opportunity to entrap it. Once the wolf was contained, we'd be able to properly tame it. I'd be able to show it that I meant it no harm. The plan was foolproof. Donki-proof. Probably. I explained every detail to Donki. He had concerns. Apparently he thought wolves don't get tired and won't use beds. I reminded him that I'm the strategist. His job was execution, not questioning. The trap was constructed in no time, a marvel of engineering. I truly outdone myself. I watched from a comfortable distance as Donki put the plan into motion. It failed, repeatedly. Clearly, Donki's negative energy had disrupted the wolf's natural behavioral patterns. His doubts became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Besides, the wolf is clearly too intelligent for this approach. It saw through the trap immediately. I needed something simpler, something it wouldn't suspect. Sometimes genius isn't complexity, it's elegant simplicity. I decided a basic 4-wall pen with a gate would work best. I built it myself. I couldn't risk Donki sabotaging this one too. To my amazement, Donki actually managed to pull it off. The plan went off without a hitch. The wolf was finally mine. Now it was just a matter of patience. I would feed the wolf, nurture it, watch it intently until it realized that I was offering it a better life. I could tell he was starting to trust me. There were small signs, subtle movements, the way he paced back and forth in the pen. Left, then right, then left, then right again. That was a sign of respect. Wolves express affection differently than humans. He was adjusting to his new life, processing his fortune at finding such a capable best friend, a new pack leader. After several days, the transformation was complete. He was tamed, loyal, ready. With my new wolf friend in tow, we were ready to continue our quest. We would find the perfect base location, come hell or high water. As we prepared to continue our adventure, I contemplated names for the hound. Bender's Pup? Too generic. Frank? A strong contender, but still not quite right. I decided to call him Wolfie for the time being. Simple, an elegant if temporary solution. Something told me that the name would choose itself. I just had to be patient. Donki thought he'd be clever and try to rename the wolf. Asshole. Very funny. The joke was on him. He was simply showing his true colors. Cruelty to wolves is a telltale sign of psychopathy. I quickly discovered that my instinct to tame the wolf was even more genius than I initially expected. As we traveled further inland, we encountered many vicious and deadly creatures. Boars. Greylings. More boars and greylings. Wolfie struck them down without breaking a sweat. I could tell that Donki was starting to get jealous. The way he watched Wolfie hunt, that was envy, pure and simple. I pulled him aside, explained that while the wolf was obviously objectively superior to him in nearly every way, he would always have an important role in our group. Wood gathering. Donki is very adequate at wood gathering. Wolfie can't hold an axe. At least, I don't think he can. Hopefully he can't. For Donki's sake. What happened next solidified my bond with Wolfie forever. We saw a fire in the distance. A camp. I decided to investigate. Perhaps we'd find friendly traders, vital supplies, intel that could help us find the perfect base location. We approached cautiously. I took point, naturally. Leadership means taking risks. They weren't traders. It was a group of bandits, armed and hostile. They spotted us immediately. One of them charged directly at me, sword raised. I calculated my options. Dodge left, right, tactical retreat. Before I could decide, Wolfie intercepted, struck the bandit down in seconds. The wolf had saved my life. Donki would have just stood there, probably laughed while I bled out. But Wolfie, he'd risked everything to protect me. That's when I knew. This wasn't just a companion, this was family. The hound had proven himself in battle. He'd earned a proper name. Wolfie wouldn't cut it anymore. I decided I would follow Viking tradition. Great warriors were named for their characteristics, their legendary qualities. Eric the Red, Ivar the Boneless, Bjorn Ironside. The wolf deserved the same honor. I stood there for a moment, studying him, his posture, his eyes, the way he carried himself. I analyzed his characteristics. He was deadly, absolutely ruthless in combat. I'd watched him take down that bandit without hesitation. His presence was overwhelming. He commanded respect. Even Donki seemed intimidated by him. He was also nocturnal, a creature of the night. I'd noticed he was more active after sunset, peak predator hours. And finally, he possessed the strength of the Norse god himself. Thor. Deadly, overwhelming, nocturnal. Thor. D-O-N Thor. Donthor. It was perfect. The name shows itself, exactly as I predicted. The wolf would henceforth be known as Donthor the Hound. GrifThor and Donthor. That has a nice ring to it. We continued our adventure, trekking through the dangerous wilds, only stopping occasionally to feed Donthor. It wasn't hard. He hunted his own food beautifully. Eventually, we came upon a clearing. Donthor broke off from our pack to investigate. I watched him intently as he explored the area. He seemed to like it here. He was giving me a sign. I stood there for a moment and soaked in the environment. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something about this space just felt right. It had the good energy I was looking for. It had ample lumber, open space for building, food sources, plentiful wildlife. It was safe, relatively speaking. Its central location on the map made it a great starting point. It had stones where we could mount the heads of Odin's enemies. Even better, it had a little half-built shelter for us. I couldn't believe our luck. This was it. At last, we had discovered the perfect base location. And it was all thanks to Donthor. He's smart like that. I knew I could count on him. For a moment, something felt familiar, like I'd been here before. Strange. Probably deja vu. I get that sometimes. I tried not to rub it in Donki's face, but I couldn't help but feel a sense of smug satisfaction. After all of his naysaying, I turned out to be right all along. We'd sailed the entire world, explored every biome, experienced failure and resistance at every turn. I'm ashamed to say I almost gave up hope, but it turned out fate was guiding us all along. And by fate, I mean Donthor. In the end, he led us to exactly what we needed. Perfection. Donki started gathering lumber to finish constructing our home out of the pieces some kind stranger had left behind. I took a seat on the grass, Donthor by my side. Our long journey was over. I could finally rest. Now all that was left was to construct our base, craft equipment, and begin hunting down Odin's enemies. I'll admit, we may have gotten slightly distracted from that objective, but at the end of the day, it's not about the objective. It's about the journey, and the friends you make along the way. Besides, how hard could the actual mission be? I'd already accomplished the hardest part, finding the perfect base location against all odds. The rest would be easy. A couple of dragons, a giant tree, some kind of bug. I mean, our first assignment was just a deer. A deer. Laughably easy. Donki had already slain a dozen deer, who would make quick work of a serpent. Something told me we wouldn't be here very long. What was that? Probably nothing. And that, dear viewer, is how I accomplished the impossible. I found the perfect base location, made a loyal companion, and proved that strategic thinking triumphs over Donki's negativity every time. But much remains to be accomplished. Will Donki finally appreciate Donthor's genius? Will I craft legendary weapons? Will that deer regret challenging me? Tune in next time to witness the continued saga of GrifThor the Viking, or subscribe to my Patreon for early access. Until then, subscribe to the channel. Unless you're a wolf hater like Donki. You don't hate wolves, do you? See you next time.